first off, congratulations on not one, but two very, very different, but very exciting projects that are coming out on the same day, August 15th. I mean, you have to have like the best plans for August 15th.
It's so funny. I don't think I'm gonna do anything August 15th. No, maybe I shouldn't say that because I really should do like the double feature thing. But there is something about like, my favorite part of what we do is when we actually do it. And then I feel like as soon as it's out, it's really for everybody else. So there might be, honestly, I feel like on the 15th, I might just need to like wake up, take a yoga class, breathe, enjoy being out, and like let it be for everybody else. But no, I feel like it's funny doing press for two very different things. I feel like I have like whiplash back and forth between like genre and character.
100%. But I have to say, it was so exciting diving into so much you over this past week. And it just reminded me how beautifully talented you are and how diverse you are as an actor.
Yeah.
And it's quite the treat watching these two back to back, I have to say.
How many episodes did you get to see of The Rainmaker? Okay, okay, wow. Okay, nice.
So
Nice.
it's nice, but like I can't get in trouble. Now I have
Yeah,
to like keep it tight.
I know. I know.
So because I really want to talk about episode 5, which is a
Of
pivotal one,
course.
but
I
we'll
know.
it's this
Yeah,
is the pain in the butt about doing press. It's like you
I
just want to dive in and just talk all the details.
But
And
I'm so glad you noticed that because I'm finding as I go through these interviews, there's some people who've only seen like the first two, and I mean not to just jump right into the Rainmaker, but
please go.
um, Sarah, who I play, Sarah Plankmore, she starts off so naive and innocent and like excited to learn. And then around episode 5 is really where things start to turn for her. So I'm answering all these questions throughout today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Madison, like shut your mouth, shut your mouth, shut your mouth. So I'm glad you know my pain because episode 5, I mean, it's probably one of my favorite episodes
Oh,
of the
it's
whole
so good. You're so
thing.
excellent in it.
Thank
And
you.
well, you're excellent in the whole series.
Thank you.
But and also I was thinking about this too as I was kind of crafting my questions, how I didn't want to sort of let what happens in episode 5 necessarily put judgment on her for what's going
Mhm.
to happen and transpire in the rest of the season.
Mhm.
So I also was like, be careful because you don't know where it's going. But
Nope.
I have to tell you, it was so exciting because The Rainmaker, obviously, it's based on the novel of the same name, which came out in 1995. And there was the movie with Matt Damon, which came out in 1997, which was actually a really formative movie for me.
Really?
Yes, I saw it. I was like doing the math in my head. I'm like, how old was I when I saw this? But it was
Mhm.
really the first time when I was sort of educated in the law and
Okay.
educated as like a young girl of this idea of the law not being fair
Mhm.
always and not being for everyone and not being accessible and for
Mhm.
everyone. And I think that's such a big theme in your series
Mhm.
that you sort of have been able to expand upon, given that it is an 8 episode series, and all sort of the complications about that. And Sarah is sort of Sarah's in a unique position. She's sort of
Mhm.
straddling both ideas because she's beautifully ambitious, which she shouldn't have to apologize for,
Mhm. Mhm.
but she's also figuring out her own kind of morality and where she sort of fits in. Would you like to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean it was one of my favorite parts about the whole series. I mean, from episode 1 to the end, it's one of my favorite characters I think I've ever gotten to dive into for so many reasons. Her arc alone was just interesting. And as women, that's always what we look for is interesting character arcs that go from that take you somewhere completely different from where you are in the beginning. And she does. She has this beautiful journey, but very similarly, I find that I'm not one of the. Also, I'm so sorry if my cat comes up.
Oh, no,
My
it's
cat's
okay.
literally, she wants to jump into this conversation. But she's learning how to step into her womanhood. She's
Mm,
learning how to take up space. And also, I think the trick there is we get so stuck as women leaning into what's right versus like when you do feel accepted and respected and appreciated. And I think that's why she falls for the Tinley Brit of it all, because they respect her, even though that's sort of where the morally gray comes to play. So it's really just this give and take. We're like, does she know what's right? Does she know what's wrong? But what trumps that? Is it winning? Is success, what she's after? And yes, but like, can she do it while making decisions that she knows are not necessarily the right answer? And so that's sort of her journey throughout the whole thing. And it's really interesting between her and Rudy and their relationship throughout the whole show because they start um, the good old Rudy Baylor, famous Rudy Baylor, played by our lovely Milo Callaghan, who does such an incredible
Lovely,
job, such an
lovely.
incredible
Mhm.
job. And it's so interesting because they start, they're in a relationship, they're very much in love, straight out of law school, and they end up on opposing firms in this huge case. And Rudy very much, he thinks with his heart, which gets him in trouble a lot of the time. Not necessarily for bad reasons, it's usually for good reasons. Whereas Sarah, she's a thinker. She uses her brain. She's always sort of like a step ahead. She's less impulsive and she's more logical and she thinks she's just always trying to be one step ahead of herself and look for answers. But then it really comes down to, can you handle doing the wrong thing if it means taking you a step further? And that's sort of her from the beginning throughout the whole show, between the relationship, between the trial, and everything in between. So it was so much fun to dive into. And it did, like she's going on this journey of learning to take space and learning to be a powerhouse, where I feel like in a similar way, entering my late 20s, I had a very similar experience jumping into the show where, it's one of the hardest jobs I've ever done in my life. Like it took the most amount of preparation I've ever had. I had all my scripts. I had like Cornell Law pulled up on my computer, trying to like understand half of what I'm saying. Some of my friends that are attorneys were trying to break some things down for me. And I felt an overwhelming sense to be as prepared as possible. And like I really wanted to know my stuff. And it was hard. It was really, really hard, but it was one of the greatest experiences that I have ever had in my life. Like I
Oh,
left feeling like a completely different person.
oh, that's incredible. And I completely agree. I think this is you're always so wonderful to watch, like I said, but this is your best role to date. You are so stunning in this role. You bring such a complexity to her, and an ambiguity. Like you, it's so interesting because she's a character where maybe if she was written 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you'd either feel like you need to love her or hate her. And you would
Hmm.
feel like you would need to go into one of those boxes and you make up your mind about her.
Hmm.
And she is someone that is always keeping me on my toes as I'm
Hmm.
watching her performance. It makes me reflect on my own choices. She makes me think about how sort of all of the choices that we kind of make as women is stemmed from the patriarchal society that we are unfortunately navigating. And we
Yes.
see that so powerfully with Sarah,
Hmm.
with the toxic environments that she has to put up with, but also the way that she adapts so
Hmm.
quickly and so intelligently to these environments. And it's like you're mad at her and then you love her and then you respect her and it's just you're going on this roller coaster with her. And
Yeah.
that's what you want with roles and like
But
when you watch
mhm.
actors and performances, right?
Yeah, no, that makes me so happy too, because that was, she's she's handed a lot of very complicated decisions to make, and I really wanted to make sure that like even when she does make the wrong choice, I wanted to save a space where the audience could like question themselves. Like you said, like be like, would I have done the same thing? And like truthfully, she's a good person. She has a good heart. I do think all of her she's fundamentally morally good, but she does get wrapped up in the game of it all. And I wanted the audience to be able to side with her a little bit, even when she is maybe not making the correct decision.
It's extremely human. It's extremely
Yes.
human. It's heartbreaking and then it's exhilarating and we see even, sweet Rudy get caught up in the kind of toxicity of of the win.
Yeah.
And we see how, to your point, even when you are a good person with a good moral compass, how you have to dodge situations and you really
Hmm.
don't know how you're gonna confront those situations until you're in that position. And
Yeah.
it really like allows us, I think, as the audience to sort of have more empathy for these characters in a sense.
Yeah. And that is
And it,
my favorite thing about Milo's performance too, is because, it's you have the Rudy in the book, you have the Rudy in the movie, and like Rudy is fundamentally he's a superhero, right? He's the winner. He's the guy who makes all the right choices and like he has a heart of steel and but like I do love that they dive into the show, like where that can lead you. And that's not necessarily the right place. Like sometimes you think way too much with your heart and you kind of forget what you're even doing it for in the first place. And we explore those themes a lot. I mean, our show, it covers a lot. We do have, I mean, it's a bit of a murder mystery. We've got some romance. We've got the legal. But
Mhm.
no, I really love that part of his portrayal too, is they definitely lean into it's the morally gray of all areas, the morally gray of the good, the morally gray of the bad.
The episode 5 of it all.
The episode 5 of it all. Oh, I'm so glad you've seen it though, because now you know my pain. It's
Oh
so
my
good.
gosh, I don't know how people couldn't have watched all 5 episodes. It's addicting and yeah, and it's also, I have to say too, it's a little bit of an homage of
Mhm.
those types of psychological thriller dramas of the 90s
Mhm.
that we do miss, but also with this really refreshing modern take, because I think the character work in this comes first and foremost. Feels
Mhm.
like and I'm sure that was really exhilarating reading the scripts to sort of see that yes, there's plot and the plot is driving the story, but it is the characters and sort of the way that they develop and the complexities that they kind of ensue, which is
Mhm.
really the heartbeat of the series.
Mhm.
Um, ugh,
And then yeah, it also make
yeah,
I'm like sometimes I'm like our arcs are so interesting this first season. I'm like if we do another season, I'm like where do we go?
we
I'm so
go.
excited for you to see the end. The
I was gonna
end,
say I have no idea what's happening in these
I
last
know.
2 episodes,
And
so
and the last two episodes were some of the most Um, I mean, listen, I've been doing this a long time.
you
I'm just kidding. I
you
mean, but yeah,
have.
it's been like a solid like 10, 11 years and
Mhm.
it was and she so wants to be a part of the
She's so
conversation.
cute
I'm so sorry.
though.
You
Oh,
wanna you can say hi for 2 seconds and you gotta go back down.
beautiful. What's her name?
Blue. Blue.
Oh,
My sweet little
my
baby.
dog's Rue. So
Oh,
there you go.
yes. Oh my gosh, best friends. But they were like the last 2 weeks of filming, but I mean, the end of the show, this isn't really a spoiler, but we end up back in court. It's the big trial. And so we
Yeah.
all get to be together in the end, which also is just such a beautiful experience after, it's an ensemble cast. We all have our own storylines. Then in the end, we finally come together and we get to be together in the very end. And there were some days where you'd have 14 pages of dialogue. There were some days where you just sat and watched. But we were all in it together. And it was some of the hardest things to date in my career that I've had to do, and it was such a huge challenge. I'll never forget at the very end, without saying what I did or what we did, but at
Mhm.
the very end, like it was just a very emotional experience for me. And I have a picture of all of us, and we just all come together and like just this like beautiful group hug. It was this beautiful moment of, I mean, it really, I hate to say it because it sounds so corny that we were a family, but we all just bonded so much and it was like I said, like I feel like I walked away a completely different person and I probably wouldn't have felt that way unless I got to do it with all the people I got to do it with.
But that's so lovely. And I think that's so important to
Mhm.
hear because I mean, there's a lot of art out there. There's a lot
Mhm.
of content, and we can fall in love with something when we watch it. But if you hear these stories of the
Mhm.
filming being, toxic or not being the most collaborative environment, I want to hear that you felt like you were a family. I want
Yeah.
to hear the cheesiness because that
Yeah.
just makes me love the show even more. And that
Yeah.
makes, and that's what it's all about
Mhm.
because, that's incredible. Okay, we got to switch to
Witchboard.
like change our costumes.
Yeah.
I Witchboard, which is also so fun and
It's fun.
very much a throwback to kind of its namesake and its original
Mhm.
IP. And it is sort of like a very yeah, it's very moody and it's
Mhm,
very it's like just yeah, it's fun and nostalgic um
mhm,
and
mhm,
witchy as hell, which I
mhm,
love. Um but it just like oozes what I love about it. I love New Orleans. I love
mhm,
New
mhm.
Orleans. I think it's one of the
Yeah.
most special places in the entire universe. And it just your film sort of oozes with the richness and just the decadence and the history and the culture that is New Orleans.
Which it was the perfect setting, all thing witches, all things spooky. It really was like the perfect place for it, especially because like food is such a huge theme also. I mean, that was so much fun. I love that you said nostalgic because I mean, that's the Chuck Russell of it all, And like I've been a horror fan for so long, and Dream Warriors was like one of my all-time favorites.
Mhm.
And so it was such a treat to be able to work side by side him. But it's so funny. I remember my agent called me for the first time and was like, "I'm sending you a script.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna like it because there's cats all over it." And I was like, "Little did you know." Not that that was the only reason I wanted to do it, but it was of course that was like a huge draw for me because I love.
Yes.
Listen, I'm a big old cat lady. But the themes of cats was so fun. We got to work with the cats, which were
Mhm.
great. But it really was. It was a big old practical fun house of all things horror, gore, nostalgia. It's very reminiscent of like Chuck's old work. He
Mhm.
uses a lot of his old practical effects, and we definitely have some CGI, but majority of everything you saw is, we pretty much did on the day, which as an actor, that's always just such a treat, at least for me. I'm always down to get my hands dirty and like
Mhm.
do the most ridiculous thing. So it was just as much fun to film it than to see it. And the product is it's so much fun too. It's a great popcorn thriller from start to finish. And you've got Jamie Campbell Bower giving like all of our crazy exposition, which oh my gosh, no one else could do that job. He's just
No.
so impressive. So
So
good.
good. I mean, and it really, I think what's really fun about this film too is it made me, I mean, I'm a summer girl. I love the heat, and it made me want to be there. It made me what transported me
Hmm.
to a vibe. It made me want it to be Halloween. It made me
Hmm.
want to sort of get a cauldron going. It made me want to like
Be
it's
a
also
witch.
yeah, I mean, I always want to be a witch. But Charmed was like my favorite show as a kid.
So good.
And cats and which is so funny because I'm actually allergic to cats, but
Are you okay?
they love me and I love them. So it's
That's
this
all that
push
matters.
and
Listen,
pull.
if the cat accepts you, that's all that
They
matters.
do. They always
Yeah.
accept me. But it just puts you in the mood, and I love that. And
Yeah.
I want to talk about because it's a found object,
Mhm.
horror film artifacts. Find this funky ass witchboard, or I'm like,
Mhm.
I've never seen anything like this before, and it's about possession, and you get to play with possession. You get to
Mhm.
embody. Um, you get to embody a witch.
Mhm.
And I could just see it in your eyes that you were having so much fun
It was so
being
much fun.
possessed.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish majority of the film I could live in that space. No, and that was when I first read the script too. That's kind of, those were the moments I was like looking forward to the most. It's just it's fun. It's actor candy. It's
Hmm.
and Antonia Desplat who plays our Naga Soth, she's just so incredible and like it was fun. I got to work with her and like just kind of figure out where we wanted, I mean, because we're kind of sharing this character,
Right.
where we want to go with it. And I mean, and yeah, those were some of my favorite moments were towards the end. But that's what I mean though. I'm like, especially in the horror genre, I love the genre so much because you can go there and there's really no rules. So
Mhm.
you can kind of just play. And it's always been my favorite space to play. And this was just an extra special one too. And the Chuck Russell of it all, like it was I think in our careers, we just always look forward to those moments where you get to work with people who have done this for so long and they've earned their stripes. Um, and yeah, it was such a treat.
Yeah, I could just tell. I could tell you were having a lot of fun. And I was like, there's something so empowering um about being able to embody um I mean, obviously whenever you're stepping into a role, you're embodying a character, but you're
Hmm.
also grounding it in in
Mhm.
like a
Mhm.
truthful place, and it's becoming a second skin. But then when you're truly
Mhm.
embodying another character and able to, like you said, it's like actor candy. um
Mhm.
I was just like, oh, this is such a treat. And yeah, I mean, like you are sort of, you have worked in the space for so long, the kind of in
Mhm.
the horror genre, and it is such an expansive genre. It's not even fair to kind of call it a genre because people
It's
really,
huge.
it's huge.
Well, there's like subcategories, right? You've
Oh my
got
gosh.
comedy horror. You have like art. We have a popcorn thriller. You have
Mhm.
Hereditary, where you
Mhm.
have nightmares the rest of your life. You know, there's a wide spectrum of horror. You have psychological, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I just, I think it's which is crazy to say, but it's what made me fall in love with storytelling when I was young. Like I kind of fell in love with horror movies, and I just loved the creativity of it. And I just always loved being scared. I think I loved the thrill of it. It was so effective. And I always left thinking of it like as I left the theater or whatever it was, they just always stuck to me. Also, I do think filming in the horror genre, I probably have the most fun
Mm,
because it's high stakes, right? But you have less of, listen, if you're making like when we did Clouds was one of my favorite projects we ever did, but there was such a weight, there was such there's a heaviness to it, and we
responsibility.
100%. Where in the horror genre, of course, there's always responsibility, but we're pretending to be possessed and we're playing with boards and there's demons and witches and you can only really take it so seriously. And if you're a bunch of nerds like I am myself, you usually have a really good time. And
Oh,
usually like the crazier you get with it, it just you have fun. Like I'll never forget there was one day on set. It was the four of us. It was Mel, Aaron, Jamie, and I, and it's a possession scene. We're with the board. And I
hmm.
was just playing with different versions of, it's written that I start to basically like the whole room vibrates with me. And which, we're doing we're doing it all ourselves. If you were in the room, like it looks ridiculous. I mean, we were laughing after every single take, but usually when you feel, at least I find in my experience, like when you can end in the giggles, like you found something and it was a nice match and we all kind of felt it together, but then you stop and you're like, you look around for a second, you're like, what are we doing? This is
That's so
crazy.
interesting, though. Do you think, though, like being able to work in the horror genre and being able to have that freedom to play
Mhm.
so much and to go there, does that then, and then when you're stepping into a more dramatic role, say,
Mhm.
are you feeling more emotionally and physically freed up?
Meaning in the horror genre.
Yeah, like does the horror
Mhm.
genre, being able to kind of have it, to have it as an actor, to be able to play so much, to
Mhm.
be so quote unquote like silly, or to have to go there
Mhm.
because, to your point, you're doing things practically, you have to sort of
Mhm.
just um whatever, just like be free. Are you
Mhm.
sort of then going into your next projects remembering that almost in your body and in your mind?
100%. I also
Yeah.
think too,
That's
it's
like
it's
a
sort of,
gift. Kind.
yeah, no, and it is sort of what where like sometimes I feel like horror is sort of like an old friend. Like I know her so well. I'd love to watch her. I've watched her since I was young. I love to be a part of her. I know her like the back of my hand. Where I do, and trust me, I've always enjoyed that. But recently in my career and in my life, and I think the Rainmaker was such a big treat, is like I'm really enjoying stretching myself and taking on things that fully put me out of my comfort zone, that I don't know and that are so unfamiliar, and learning to trust different parts of myself. And I think that was why it was such a transformative experience for me. Because then I'm like, listen, I will always be there for horror. I will never shy away from it. But I definitely am at a place right now where I'm very much enjoying just trying new things and stretching myself as I get older and figuring out what else I wanna do.
Sort of the joy of being afraid. It's like, right? I think
Yeah.
about that all the time, like fearful challenges and like
Hmm.
joyful challenges where, as the older, as I get older, sometimes I feel like so much anxiety about doing something new or scary.
Hmm.
And then there's no better feeling once you're going through it,
It's the
right?
best. I am
It's
at a
the
phase in my
best.
life this year where I am just like everything is new for me
Oh,
and it's terrifying, but it has been one of the best years I think I've had in so long. So like anyone I talk to that's like ever in some sort of an in between, I'm like, just make a decision and just do it and like get uncomfortable. It's the
Get
best thing you can do for yourself.
uncomfortable,
Get
like
uncomfortable.
go
Mhm.
through it because what else is the point? And
There's
you're just so
no,
proud of yourself too when
yeah.
you know, and it's
Mhm.
like it's those butterflies that the minute that you're not feeling them, you're like, "Oh no.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
uh-oh, this isn't good."
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled for you that that's kind of where you're at, and that's so exciting. And
Mhm.
yeah, what a beautiful place to be. And truly, you should be. I hope you are at least on the 15th, like being proud of yourself, whatever that
I
looks like,
am.
however that looks to you. It doesn't need to be like big watch parties, but I just hope you're like, yeah, yeah, baby, we did it.
I do, and I feel I'm so proud of both. But it becomes a funny thing when it's not yours anymore and it's for everybody else. So I will probably be on my couch with my cats. Maybe
Oh,
I'll
the
watch a
best.
little bit. Yeah, but
Uh,
these are my people. This is all I hang out
there's
with.
another one.
No, well,
Oh,
this is Blue, and then I have
okay.
another one upstairs, but she hides. She's camera shy. This
Oh, there's
one
that.
would love to be in the camera all the time.
Have you always been a big animal person?
Always,
Me
always. I
too.
just love them. I would, if I could have a house full of all the dogs, all the cats, horses, goats, chickens, I so would.
Dream.
I
Oh
know.
my God.
One day.
Right. I know that's the goal.
Yeah.
Madison, you're always such a joy to talk with. Just thank you
You
so much for
too.
your time. And I hope I get to
Thank
talk to you
you.
soon.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so curious what you think about the rest of the show.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait.